Yo, what's the deal? It's Yin and Yang. We back at it with another episode. It's Friday, June 7th. But we got a different host with us today. We got my man James, another intern. Welcome, James. How you doing?
Doing great, man. It's good to be here. It's officially part of the Yin Yang. Heard a lot about it. Excited for officially be a part of the show for the first time. So, I'm excited to get into today's topics, man.
We're excited to have you on for sure. And what you call? We just want to really start with just getting to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, man. Grew up from around here, from the east side, best side. It's where it's a place to be. Moved to Grosse Pointe, though. So that's where I went to high school, man, and then played football at Valparaiso University School in Indiana, and then transferred to Eastern Michigan, and currently getting ready for Pro Day and getting ready for the NFL Draft next year. So can't complain, man. Life is good. Looking to do broadcasting and documentary work, man. So happy to be here, man. So
No, that's definitely nice. What you call? And you said you started off at Valparaiso, so product of the transfer portal.
Product of the transfer portal. During that time, forgot to mention, started a nonprofit as well. We'll get into that a little bit later, man.
You actually can start talking about that now, yeah.
So
what's the deal, Alan W?
Started
to one of the chatters.
Yeah, so I started a nonprofit, man, with two of my best friends from high school. We saw a problem, within college sports is a lot of guys understand the physical side of things, but don't necessarily understand the mental side of things. And we wanted to be able to help bridge that gap and also help a lot of kids. In the Detroit area, we feel like there's a lot of talent there that doesn't get recognized, that doesn't get seen. Be able to help bridge that gap and also really help bridge the gap in terms of fundamentals. Want to help kids understand, how to read different defenses, so cover 2 versus cover 4, not just know what their assignment is, but know all the moving parts within it. And then talk about the recruitment process in terms of you have to be able to market yourself nowadays and brand yourself. Unfortunately, the days of yonder of just having good film just aren't enough these days. Yes, it is still the most important thing, but you have to understand how to get your Twitter together. How do you get your, Instagram together? Now, I'm not saying that means more than your game, because your game is going to always be your biggest endorsement, but those other things matter more than they ever have. And we cover those types of things, and then we also talk about NIL and understanding, the different rules of it, how to be able to talk with different businesses and things, be able to help yourself. So regardless if you're at a Division I, Power 5 program, or you're at, a Division III program, you can still take advantage of it. We talk about financial literacy, talk about budgeting, and then basic investment patterns. So trying to help you be able to win on and off the field, and kind of the whole mantra of the shirt, be more than football.
What you call it? That's definitely something that's like a good cause, teaching kids how to, I guess, maximize their resources. That's a good point with the Twitter and really getting it together, because like you said, yeah, your game still got to do something, but we in the age of 2024 where coaches, you able to get directly into contact with the coach by hitting them up on their Twitter. So, it's definitely like making sure your stuff is in order. And then actually, I'll just go a little bit out of order because you brought up the NIL, and I might as well get into that right now. So, like, could you just like explain the like little basis of how the NIL works to the viewers, and then like explain like how the new college rule will end up playing out for probably the, college football scene, and like how that will work for schools and teams or players getting played?
Yeah, so basically, I'll first start with this. When I first started playing college football in 2020, NIL wasn't a thing. You still had to sit out a year in order to transfer in the transfer portal. So all that stuff's been relatively new in the past 2 years now. But basically, NIL represents name, image, and likeness. It allows college athletes to be paid. But kind of the biggest changes now is that teams now fundraise. So it's called NIL collectives, where teams will fundraise and create a pool of money that coaches can use to give to players. So basically,
So like a legalized booster club.
It is, correct.
Yeah.
So your boosters are now getting involved within the coaching staff and things. And I'm not saying this hasn't always been the case, but now it's more direct than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really scary thing is when you have people outside the football building having influence on what goes on. And I think you're also going to see is teams can now directly pay players, so it's no longer under the radar. So, guys are going to play not based off skill as much anymore. It's going to be a lot of how much money is this guy getting paid. We talk about Neil Rule show all the time about Javi Baez and how he's underperforming. I think you're going to see a lot of that in terms of college football because this guy makes this amount of dollars. Well, I need to see him play right away. So
That brings up a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's and that's just kind of the way it works. Is you're probably going to see in the next couple of years the elimination of walk-on spots, something that I was able to take advantage of. Proud to say, but that's no longer going to be a thing because there's only so much money that can go around for everybody. And here's the other thing: is a lot of people don't realize is NIL doesn't. Not everybody is getting NIL deals. Yeah. Even at your big-time schools, maybe only 5% of that roster is getting NIL deals and getting, the big-time sponsorships you read about the news. Not every college football player is getting the treatment, Shedeur Sanders, Caleb Williams, a lot of these guys.
Or even just regular starters on teams.
Yeah, regular starters on teams. But I think the issue with NIL is it's going to really shift power back to the coaches because if you're not a guy that has gotten to touch the field and an opportunity to play, you're hitting the portal. There's over 2,000 guys in it now. So it's very hard to come out of the transfer portal and being able to move to a better school or a better program as coaches kind of view players as rentals. And there's coaches openly cut players now. That's something that wasn't a thing when I started. And, it's a lot more of a cutthroat and business-like industry. And, not saying it's a bad thing players are getting paid. I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm just saying there is some consequences and drawbacks to it. And I don't think this idea was necessarily fully thought out. I think it could have been rolled out better, as I don't think this sets players up for success after they're done playing. I think it's an immediate thing, and then once it's over, it's over. So definitely am concerned and can see kind of the worries that come with it.
That's why they got to go to the camp. What up, Chase Amley? What up, Mike Reed? What up, Justin? How y'all all doing? Anybody else watching in the chat? What you call it? And then you brought up a great point that boosters are going to be involved in who plays and who doesn't play. Because it's actually interesting that you brought that up because I saw a video from earlier where it was a booster from Miami that influenced for Devin Hester to play. He literally was saying I saw this kid play. I'm giving you all this money. He literally said if he doesn't play next game, he was like, I'm turning off the water. And they literally played him next game. Devin Hester came to be Devin Hester. He said that game, the first game he played, he had 2 punt return touchdowns. But it's I could just imagine all that stuff has been going on behind the scenes for so long. And now that it's legalized, it's probably going to make it way more murky. For the guys who still want to go about their shady ways about it. But they still have to go through. Now they got to go through certain parameters and things. And it's it's going to definitely be interesting. It's crazy to see that it almost feels like it went full circle now because you're saying the coaches are having the power back now. Because when this first started, everybody was saying now the players are going to have all the control, all the power. The transfer portal when it was first becoming the main thing, the hot topic for the time of when for basketball and football when players aren't happy with the time they play, transfer. If they not happy with the coach, transfer. If they not happy with such and such, transfer. If they think they can get more NIL, transfer. So people were worried that the players had all control. But now you're saying with this new rule, the coaches will have control?
Well, yeah, and I'll say this. Here's where I'm getting these numbers from. Over 50% of guys that go in the transfer portal don't come out. So what does that mean? Their careers are ending and over. The only guys that really have power in the transfer portal are guys that have put up great seasons at a school, right? So if you're a guy that played at a smaller school, was an All-American there, and now you're trying to transfer, yeah, you got some leverage. But I'm talking about your person who's frustrated with not playing after a couple of years, feels like they should have been playing, but doesn't really have any film but practice film. It's very difficult. Back, 3, 4, 5 years ago, if you did that, you could work work out something and figure it out because there was more loyalty to it. I think what you're seeing now is more of a cutthroat industry. Where there's less of a relationship being built and more of being used. And I'm not to say that that's not always been the case. I just think that is now even more the case. Whatever relationship.
More open with it now.
Yes, more open with it. Where it's players are using coaches and coaches are using players. And, that's not what college athletics and what college sports is supposed to be all about. But, yes, the stories like Devin Hester, I guarantee you there's plenty of those stories that haven't been told. But I guarantee you now there's going to be, yes, Devin Hester was already there when that happened. But now you're going to have influence in who gets to go to school there, right? So, you're going to have a lot of coaches lobbying for these boosters to give money, and it's really kind of turned into a political thing where it's much like, candidates for political campaigns, they have to fundraise, right? That's what these coaches have to do now, right? It's if you don't raise a certain amount of money, you're not going to be able to field a competitive team to play, and that's why I think you're seeing a mass exodus of longtime college football coaches and basketball coaches leave because they just don't want to deal with it. Yeah. Because it's a year-round thing.
It's actually crazy because I was seeing a video where coach, I think it was the SMU coach, this was like some months ago, he was talking about like he said he was trying to recruit a kid, and the kid told him like he needs like, I think he said like $800K. He like $800K coming for what? Like, and it's just like, that's a player, like, not to talk down on the school, but that's a player trying to go to SMU. Like, to get $800K to go to Southern Methodist, they're not even competitive. So it's like, if a school like Southern Methodist is having to pay a player $800K, like, what are these bigger schools paying to like just get everyday starters? That's where, like you said, it's going to be like a big divide, because a lot of these mid-major schools aren't going to be compete. Like, you're about to see a lot of the Texas schools, they're about to be like the cream of the crop. Like, that's about to be like all those down south schools, all those like football heavy states where they don't mind, like they would rather die than see their football team suck. Yeah, those are definitely about to be the states and the schools where you see like the biggest like I guess talent gap, you could say, like you brought up.
Well, I think you're going to see a bigger wealth disparity as well, right? You're going to see a greater gap between big-time schools and small-time schools, and even schools and conferences, right? You're going to see a bigger gap between your Michigans than, your Northwesterns or Minnesotas. They're in the same conference, but again, blue blood programs are going to get richer, and, smaller schools are going to get, are going to lose money, and that's just kind of the reality of the situation.
It's really more so just about the deeper pockets, like
and that's the sad thing, is it's going to be about deeper pockets to build teams. Teams are going to be built through, who can spend the most, and that's just a sad reality of it. It's going to kill any parity that was there. Well, am I saying that college football is dead? No. Am I saying that people aren't going to watch it? No. People will watch it. I'm sure the ratings will be through the roof. Because at the end of the day, it still is college football. I'm just saying it's different than what we grew up on and what we've seen for the past 100 years prior, right? It's a brand new era, and I think you're seeing that. You're really going to see that this year, and I think Deion Sanders is the head forefront of the case with his open approach and kind of his way of doing things.
Yeah, Chase Amley is more so. I more so was bringing up the point that like, I don't think SMU should be throwing around any money to recruits, and you're not even going to be competing for anything. It's more so, I guess I get it with the landscape of how it's going to be now, but $800K for just one player is like insanity.
But you're teaching kids bad habits.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to even feeding into that is like appeasing almost. Like, I'm not, like the coach did the good thing. He was like, I'm not paying you. He was like, you go to a different school, whatever school is about to pay you $100K. I'm not giving you $800K.
But that's the thing, is you're seeing kids who are trying to reach a certain dollar amount. They're no longer concerned about the fit or the relationship with the coach. They're worried about who's going to give them the most. And I'm not trying to say college athletes shouldn't be paid. I think they should be. But again,
it's like becoming free agency damn near.
It is, and that's exactly what it is. And if you're asking me, what should it be? Because I'm sure, everyone's, it's easy to complain about a problem. Why don't you come with the solution? And I guess here's what my solution would be.
I was also about to give one. Let's hear yours.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, see, me, when I always heard it, my thought was, okay, if a school is pulling in a certain amount of money, okay, that school should disperse it amongst the players. I was saying at the time before the NIL, this is like years before NIL was even brought up. I'm like, if you want to disperse that money between the players, all right, you look at how much money, look at how much money the basketball team brought in. All right, boom. It's 12 players on that basketball team. If you want to be equal, fair, and honest, you disperse, at least you allot a certain amount of percent to disperse to those players, and then that would be your way to pay them. And then I guarantee you would have been making enough to disperse evenly amongst 12 players where you could have comfortably got them through their needs for school that you aren't able to fill with the regular room and board. They would have been able to fill their housing costs, their car costs. They just play around money without having to figure out oh, this player should be getting this much, this player should be getting this much, this player should be getting this much. It's if you want to keep it equal, you look at how much money that team has made, and you disperse it from there. But in that, it would have been unequal because the lower schools would have still been making none. That's more so where the problem we're still at now, though.
Yeah, and I think it should be a set. I think you had this problem in baseball for a long time, and it still exists today. But there used to be no salary cap in baseball, and teams could just spend whatever they want. But I think what you need is a cap, and I'm
That's
not
what somebody
saying,
just said in the
and
chat.
that,
Yeah,
and that, yeah, I mean that's really what you need is, and that makes it, and that evens the playing field, right? And that gives, I would set a cap for you want to say between Power Five and Group of Five set a cap. I'm fine with that, or even a cap by conference. I'd be okay with that too. But I don't think Michigan. There's a huge gap between Michigan and Rutgers. Now I understand there's a gap already in terms of the recruiting or the types of players that go there, but the dollar signs are going to be massive, and it's like, why would I ever in a million years go to Rutgers? When I'm getting offered X amount by Michigan. But I think that's kind of the frustrating part is it kills the parity. And the other way to kind of bring it back is I think each kid on the team should make a set amount. And then I think from there, you should do is also set up a trust fund for the players afterwards. So you should have a set amount they make while they're in school, and then each player on the team makes a set amount as a fund afterward that they can't touch until they're done. And then whatever NI deals you sign after that on your own, hey, by all means, and if a booster wants to help you out with that, fine, go ahead. But that's what I think will help kind of create some parity. Now, are they going to do that? Probably not. Because once again, the more money that comes into college football, the better, it is for the NCAA, and this is their way of trying to recoup some of their money and things is by allowing schools to directly pay players, because if they're directly paying players, guess what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to fundraise more money, and eventually it's going to go into the hands of the NCAA. So, once again, it's one of those things. If you want, you can't ask for players to get paid and not look at the consequences of it. Obviously there is, but I just think it could have been done better.
yeah, no, definitely. And then we could talk about that all day, but I want to get a little more about the still dealing with NCAA, but the NCAA video game. And I was seeing earlier that they were showing that players will be able to get like a badge system. So like gold through or bronze through gold, basically just like how if any of you in the chat are familiar with playing like 2K badge system from going all the way from Hall of Fame to bronze. And I think that'll be like a great idea or system to implement into the game to really feel the true difference in how all the players play, because like in 2K you can feel the abilities like way better, like the personality and the or more individualness in the players in 2K than you can in Madden. So that definitely could be a great boost to the game. Did you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, man, I really enjoy that. I think that's a great way to demonstrate how players players' abilities demonstrate players' abilities, but also kind of create kind of a uniqueness to each player, right? Make you feel like each player has a unique quality to them, and I think the badge system's a great way to do it. I know Madden does it. I know I originally started in 2K, so I think it's a great idea. I think the game itself will be great. I know there's a lot of expectations for it. Still have the one at home with Denard Robinson on the cover, NCAA 14.
You a big gamer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I used to be. Not as much these days.
Yeah, I haven't had a game since 2020.
I know, man. I haven't been on it in a minute, but you might have to pop it back in. But I was 1 year away, man. Could have been in the game. But
yeah, no, I was gonna say that.
But I will say, man, it's good that I think they're bringing the game back. I think it'll be great for the game. I think it's a great way to brand it. I think it's great for the players. It's great for everybody involved. So I think the badge system's a great way as well to being able to, show the uniqueness and kind of diversify the game.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something. I keep telling people like they showing a little bit more and more stuff that's making me think about buying the game system so I can buy the game.
$70 though.
But no, I gotta buy the whole game system. So at that point, $70 wouldn't be nothing to me. Because
it's on the series one. Is that
no? I don't have like a game system at all. Basically threw out my PS4. Yeah,
you threw it out.
Yeah, like I don't even have it. No. I ain't throw it out, but I don't know where it's at.
I got you.
So basically, all right. Switching over though, I want to get into something that we talked about that you gave us an idea to talk about one of the days is the NBA Finals Game 1, and I just want to start off with, what was your biggest takeaway from game one?
My biggest takeaway, and I hate to say this, was definitely Kristaps Porzingis' return. I think he had a stellar game. Had a huge impact on the game, both on the offensive end and defensive end. Played really well, was able to shoot the ball well, really was able to work in the post, get some easy touches. I thought Drew Holiday had a masterful game on the defensive end, guarding Kyrie Irving, limiting him to 6 of 19 shooting. Joel, I know you mentioned this on E&E. One of the best on-ball defenders, really gets over the screens well, can hedge, can be over the top, is a guy that switches very well, and also is a guy that, is able to contest without fouling, and that's a very hard thing to do with Kyrie. But my biggest takeaway is this. Again, I expected the Mavs to struggle. Again, for a lot of guys, it's their first NBA Finals experience. Yeah. Whatever it is, the Finals is just a different stage than normal playoff games. It just is. And, for those guys, especially in the Garden with such a, that's a tough environment to play in. It can be a tough, I don't expect, P.J. Washington to have that kind of game again. I don't expect, Lively to have that kind of game again. Kyrie, Luka. So I think it'll be a much better showing from the Mavs in game 2.
Yeah, no, what you call. My biggest takeaway from that game is I was trying to tell people from the jump of what you call. I talked about it a little bit on here. I talked about it with my friends. Y'all are sleeping on Drew Holiday defense. Like, Drew Holiday is going to be the biggest difference in this series because he doesn't need a double team help. And so when you don't need that double team help on defense, like, I literally was watching the game with my mom yesterday, and she saw Luka miss a layup. But Jason Tatum was literally right there on him. She's like, how do you miss that easy shot? I'm like, when you have a 6'9" defender on you right there, those shots that you saw Luka making over Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards. Yeah, Anthony Edwards is a great defender, but Anthony Edwards is 6'4", 6'5". I know he's 6'4". 6'3", 6'4". So when you put a 6'9", 6'10" defender on him, that drastically changes the ability to make those easy shots that you were seeing go in. Granted, Luka still had 30, but if you really watch that, he had to work for that 30.
That was an inefficient 30, and that's the thing is, Luka's going to get baskets, but you got to make sure it's an efficient 30. But I think, again, Kyrie Irving is really the engine that makes this team go. And, when he's on and when he's able to facilitate along with Luka, I think that team is going to be really, hard to beat. So,
see, Allen W., that's the thing, though. I don't really think the Celtics looked good in game one, but they honestly, after that first half, they just fizzled out and looked pretty normal, and they still were able to, almost dominate them. It's more so, back to the original point, though, if Drew Holiday don't have to get if he doesn't need that double team help, and you could just leave Luka one-on-one with Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown ripped Luka twice before he was able to cross half court. That's not even something you see in the NBA a lot, let alone against a player of Luka's caliber. So it's like, when you have two on-ball defenders like that, checking those dynamic guards who are able to create so much for the rest of your team, when they're able to be in a straitjacket by just one player alone, and then even if you get past them, you have so much length surrounding the rest of the floor. It makes every shot so hard, and every shot you're seeing a face swipe by you. You seeing a hand wipe by every pass you're trying to make. Everything you're trying to do is make you get a second thought because you're having all that length in front of you. And then Justin says Kyrie ain't gonna have another bad game. Somebody in the chat kept spamming this stat that Drew Holiday or Kyrie Irving since 2012 has shot under 40% against Drew Holiday every time he's played him.
And I think that's a relevant stat to bring up, and I understand and where that comes from. And here's what I will say. I think the Mavericks will do a better job of helping be able to create a switch for Kyrie so he's not, being guarded by Drew Holiday. There's a lot of different ways.
But that's the thing. Who is he going to get switched on to?
You get switched on to a Derek White. You get switched on to Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown might be the worst decision for Kyrie to get checked by.
That's the thing. The Celtics have a lot of great length, but here's what I'll say. There's a lot of – I think they can set a lot of more pick and roll. You'll see high pick and roll. Then you see some split cuts, some back actions, some split action as well, and that's going to be able to help Kyrie kind of be able to create some more open looks for him. One thing we didn't see Kyrie be able to do a lot is being able to attack the basket in the paint. There's an area where the Celtics are weak in terms of their defense. I'd say it's on their interior. Their perimeter defense is very good, but I think once you kind of get in the inside, I think that's kind of where they have their defense. Now, with Porzingis back, maybe they're able to shore it up, but we've always known Porzingis to be more of an offensive player than more for his defensive prowess. Not to say, a capable defender, but that is not his strength of his game. And I expect Kyrie to set the tone early and come out shooting.
Yeah, what you call it? I was gonna more so say almost the opposite of that. I'm not worried with the Mavericks really being able to get into the paint too much, just off the fact that it's too much length on the wings, and yeah, they might not have no super crazy shot blocker, but when you can't even try to get to the paint because the help is just able to clog up and have all I think the Celtics' shortest player is probably Derek White out there, and I think he's 6'4". So it's when you just got all that length out there, it just clogs up everything. And then at the same time, Kristaps Porzingis is not no stalwart on defense, but he's 7'3", so he's just able to affect so many shots. And you saw that with Derek Lively trying to go up on him, but it's he's 7'3". It's hard to make those layups on him unless you just able to I don't even know, get fouled or get an and one. But I would say in that, are you worried about the competitiveness of this series after seeing game one?
No, I think game two will be much different. And, Boston does have a bad tendency of turning the ball over a lot, and I think the Mavericks are going to be able to better capitalize off those turnovers. And, like you said earlier, after that first quarter, I think the Mavericks really settled down. And, it shows, the experience that the Celtics have being in the NBA Finals, making deep playoff runs year after year. That really showed off there in that first game. But, once again, it's game one. It's a long series. There's a lot left to be said. So, I wouldn't panic yet as a Mavericks fan before you see game two.
Alan W., if you tuning in the heavyweights later, we could open easy sports book for that Mavs in 6 or 7 because I got Boston in 6. I literally just told my friend earlier, I said, I've been saying my heart says Mavs in 7. I want to see the Mavs win a 7-game series, but my basketball realistic thinking just tells me this is a Celtics in 6 series. But after last night, I had to text Braylon last night. I was like, they're actually lucky if this gets to 6. That's what I say. But Alan W., if you want to head over to Easy Sports, but we could definitely get something cracking on that. And then also, oh yeah. So what do you think Dallas needs to do? Well, you spoke on it a little bit, but what else do you think Dallas needs to do to make this a little bit more of a competitive series?
Well, I think it's going to start with taking care of the ball, taking care of the basketball. I think it's going to start on the defensive end for them, as they had a much improved defensive output against the Timberwolves, and I think that needs to carry over in this series against the Celtics and being able to play good rotation defense as they do. I think that's really going to be the key for them, and you're going to see a better performance out of big man Derek Lively, as him being able to slow down Porzingis. I think will be a big help. And then, I think the other thing is being able to create open shots for Kyrie and Luka to be able to get them going offensively early in the game and not trying to, get them going later. And then lastly, it's just going to be for them is just being consistent, right? As we saw, a not so good first quarter, a great, an okay second, great third. Just being able to ride the waves and understand this is a long series.
Yeah, I would say the Mavs, from what I saw, Mavs are going to have to probably bump down Derek Lively minutes in this and probably favor playing Maxi Kleber a little bit more just to try to stretch the floor themselves. Because in the way they've played in getting those dunker spot positions for Derek Lively and Gafford, they were in those spots, and Derek Lively and Gafford aren't players who can create their own buckets. So I would say if you sub out Lively or Gafford, probably both of them, and let Maxi Kleber start to get a little bit more minutes this series, he's back for them. He can be that player that can get out there, and he's big enough to stay with Porzingis, and he can move out there with Porzingis because Porzingis is going to be out there on the perimeter, and Lively wasn't able to really keep up with him too much on the perimeter because it seemed like he wasn't really used to checking somebody that would be out that far while he was able to pick up he picked up 3 dumb ones, but he had 5 altogether. So I would say more so just sub in your experience and Maxi Kleber and a player who can also stretch the floor himself and hit those threes. And also in that too, they got to facilitate the ball way more. They had 9 assists as a team. So what you call, if they you can't, like 9 assists as a team is literally not gonna fly. Like, especially with a player of Lucas caliber. Like, I don't know how you didn't even crack 10 assists as a team. Like Tim Legler said earlier, that is a middle school stat, because it's like that shows you're just playing all the buckets basically came off all ISO ball. You're in the NBA Finals. I promise to God you're not gonna win that way, especially with only having 2 good ISO players. But moving on, getting ready to wrap up the show. We know you got a TD, so I ain't gonna hold you up too much. Let you get ready to set up that. So I just wanted to do a little quick flashback Friday, and then talk about, since we got the Belmont coming up on this day, June 7th in 1930. Golly, Gallant Fox, written by Earl Sand, wins the Belmont Stakes by 3 lengths over Wishone. Which one? That's what it looked like. Which one? Oh, damn, it was all one word. That fucked me up. My bad. Over which one, becoming the second horse to capture the Triple Crown. I don't think no horse this Belmont can end up getting a Triple Crown. I really don't care about horse racing. That just was an interesting tidbit because it came from 1930 and only the second horse to win this Triple Crown. But what I really wanted to ask in this Flashback Friday is, what is one of your favorite personal sports memories? It could be either you in it, like at a game that you had, or just something that you watched that's special to you. Like, what's one of your favorite personal sports memories?
You know what? I'm gonna change this. It's a funny story actually.
Okay.
So this is while I was in the transfer portal. I was in contact with folks from Colorado, and I was trying to play there, and I wasn't getting much luck, wasn't getting much contact. I took a flight out there, went out to Colorado, kind of, you know, I don't want to say break in, but, you know, found open doors up to their football offices. You know, spoke with their linebackers coach, spoke with their D coordinator, and then, you know, had a good talk, good conversation, so I'm feeling good. Woke up next morning at 5 a.m., was going to meet Dion, because that's what they said what time he was there. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, I'm sitting outside of his office, saw the inside of his office and things. And then I get told to leave the building. I get kicked out by security, man. I was sitting there for 2 hours by myself, just waiting. I get thrown out the building. It's crazy, man. So, yeah.
I mean, it was worth the try, though.
It was worth the try. It was worth the try.
That determination.
That determination. But, you know, that was just a funny story. But I'd say quick favorite sports moment. Man, I don't know. Man, I'd probably say, I'd probably say that one was because for me, even though it didn't work out the way I wanted to, I knew I wasn't going to be deterred. And in terms of finding a home in the transfer portal, which ended up being Eastern Michigan. So.
Oh yeah, what you call it? He talking about I don't got that Woolworth bag like you, bro. I am an unpaid intern. I do not get what you call it? Yeah, I do not get paid for this. But
we just here so we don't get fined.
Yeah, no, my favorite sports memory, I'm gonna have to be on some cocky shit. One time in like middle school, I deadass like won the game for us. Like, bro, we played this one school that like we had played like 3-4 times before, and we could like never beat them, bro. Like they had just like we would play them like twice a year. So this was like 6th, 7th, we never beat them. This is 8th grade now. This is first game of the year too, and what you call. Bro, like it's a close game the whole time. And me and my one friend in our 8th grade year, they split up our team to make us play with 7th graders. Yeah. And we were so distraught because that 8th grade we had played like summer league with each other, and we played a year up. So we all like majority of our 8th grade team played on that summer league team with my friend's dad. So we like, bro, we about to be turned this year. We about to win a championship. We about to go crazy. Da 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 da. They split us up first practice. We playing with 7th graders. The 7th graders was so weak, bro. So it was like 3 8th grader or like 4th 8th graders per team, and then like the rest was 7th graders because they had majority of the players. So, bro, it used to have just me and my one friend just scoring. Like it literally used to only be us two. Like this, whatever points we had, it would literally just be us two. So one of the games, bro, a player talking shit to me, and then he checking me, and I catch the ball deep, and my coach like. Swing it around. But I look, I'm like, bro, fuck this. He was just talking shit to me. I'm deep. I shoot the 3. he came out and fouled the shit out of me. So I don't even get to see if the ball go in. What I just hear a whistle. I just hear that bitch. Crowd going crazy. What you call it? It was like 10 seconds left. Hit the. It was a 4-point play. Knocked down the free throw. We ended up winning the game. And then what you call it? I got to talk shit to him after the game too, and that was just like,
yeah, you did.
That's like one of my favorite.
Sir. That's
one of my favorite things. If y'all like keep tuning into us and like see us like do some competitive shit, I am a shit talker, bro. Like, I love just what you call. I love like just getting in somebody's head. Like that's my favorite thing to do is make somebody second guess themselves. But what you call, that's enough for right now. James got to get in the TD booth, start setting up for heavyweights. But y'all can catch us both on heavyweights. We actually about to both be in there. What you call. So make sure y'all go tune in there. And then thanks for tuning in on this Friday. James, thanks for filling in with us, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Good to be here. Good to be part of the YingYang show, man.
We was telling them, we like, bro, this shit is like too small to like really feature 3 people all the time.